Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Tamika. This is Library of Tomes, where I talk to you about all the bookish things going on in my life. Hi, welcome back. I am so excited that you are here and you are joining me for another video on my channel. Don't you wanna have fun? Fool around someone. We are in a different location again because I'm really liking filming in other parts of my house rather than filming in my library. So we're just going with it. I'm kind of loving it. I'm loving that you can kind of see like the craziness in the background. So today I want to share some of the books that I have DNF'd with you. I have 11 titles that I want to talk about. Some of these are going to be very short because some of these I have briefly talked about before, but I kind of like the idea of doing a quarterly DNFs possibly, or a bi-monthly DNFs, because I'm at a point now where I'm DNFing pretty regularly. I wasn't DNFing very often before because I really didn't want to DNF if it wasn't going to count towards my reading goal, and I have to hit a certain percentage through the book before I'll count it. I've just decided I'm going to start DNFing, and I'm going to share the DNFs with you all, and then if I decide if it's going to be a permanent DNF, I can let you know, and then if it's not, then I mean, you can always adjust later on. So let's talk about them kind of quickly. I want to talk about the ones that you all do know about because I've either mentioned them briefly in wrap-ups or in reading vlogs. So first of all, I want to talk about the fact that I did DNF A Lady of Rooksgrave Manor, which I don't think I've like talked extensively about, but I have mentioned it in like a reading vlog. I was reading this with my channel members and we just stopped reading it because we didn't like it. Me and Carrie both hated it. I just was bored the entire time and I didn't understand what I was supposed to be invested in. I just could not get behind the characters and I couldn't get behind literally anything that was happening in it, so I just DNF'd it and moved on. That's essentially where we were at with that one. This is one I will not be coming back to because from what a lot of people have told me, it's literally just her meeting these different monsters and then them having sex, and then that's the extent of the entire plot, and personally I don't care about that. Like, I can handle smut for the sake of smut sometimes, but not 400 pages worth, so I'm gonna move on and just not go back to it. This is a monster book that I just don't care, you know. I just don't care, and I'm not gonna waste my time on it. Then we have Natasha, which is a DDLG book, which I know y'all knew that I talked about this one a little bit. I think it was like last summer. This is one I was really interested in. I really wanted to read. I started reading it. It reminded me a lot of a Brianna Hale, and then it just didn't work. I was just bored and I just didn't connect with the characters. There really wasn't any significant reason other than it just was not hitting me at that point, and I was really bored. And typically if that's what a book is going to do, it's not going to get a high rating and I'm just not going to care. So I'm definitely way more okay with DNFing at this point with things that I know I'm not gonna enjoy. This is one where it's a hard DNF. I don't see myself coming back to it. From what I remember, the Daddy Dom little girl play was not that great. This one was actually recommended by Brianna, so that one makes me a little sad, but at the same time, I just don't care and I don't really remember what it was even about other than it being Daddy Dom little girl, and I just don't care, you know? Like, I don't really see myself coming back to it because if it wasn't gripping me then, I don't see how it's going to be gripping me now, because my love for DDLG has not changed in the slightest. Like, my love for that kink or that dynamic, it's not changed. I still love it. So it's not like I've grown to love it or grown to dislike it, and that's how it's going to change at this point. So then we have Where the Good Girls Go to Die, which is a DNF that I think I counted in a wrap-up. I think it was my last wrap-up actually, and this one specifically I DNF'd because I felt like the author did absolutely no research when it came to tattoo artists or body piercers or any kind of body modification. I don't know if you can tell this or not. I have a lot of body mods. I do have, you know, my septum, my nose. I've had multiple ear piercings, other body modifications, other body piercings, and I have 8 tattoos. One of them being this half sleeve. So I have a lot of body mods, and the way that the author kind of went about body modifications, tattooing, and like being in the tattoo studio just was weird. As someone who was in the tattoo studio a lot, it felt like someone who had like never really been in one and just kind of like guessed your way through it. As someone who has had multiple body modifications and someone who you know, goes to several different types of shops. I do know that it takes a long time to get your station cleaned up, get your station ready, and to, you know, prepare for the actual tattooing itself. It's taken almost an hour before, and that's just from, you know, them already having the art drawn and needing to make adjustments, which was this piece right here, and then needing to set up their studio and get everything sanitized and get it ready, and then, you know, make sure they're prepared to go into this tattoo session. And like, we have a character in here who's a tattoo artist who takes 20 minutes between her clients, like literally a 20-minute gap between her client and her next client, and apparently that's enough time for her to just pierce this girl's nipples out of fucking nowhere. And I don't know about y'all, I don't know if y'all have ever had a body piercing before, but your tattoo artist typically is not the person that's gonna do it. Just like your body piercer is not gonna be your tattoo artist. It is two separate things, and just because you can do one does not mean you can do both of them. Could this girl have been trained to do both? Yes. Is it likely? No. It is not likely. It is just not, that's more than likely not what the case. So it was just very irritating, and I just didn't care. I could not get behind the entire idea of, it honestly felt like this girl had never been into a tattoo shop before, and it showed. That's just the way it felt to me. Now, people who don't have a lot of body mods may look right over this and not even care, but I'm telling you, if you have even, I don't even have that many. Like, I say that as someone who like has a lot of body mods, but like I don't. Like, I don't have that many. Like, I am a baby when it comes to body modifications and the amount of tattoos and piercings I have. So the fact that it's bothersome to me, if you have any more than me, you're gonna be livid. And I honestly would say, even if you are someone who just has like their upper half done, like they have like maybe 3 or 4 big tattoos, this is gonna irritate the shit out of you. So just know that going in. I honestly don't even know what this one was about, other than it was a brother's best friend. So yeah. Then we have Den of Vipers, which, do I know the plot of Den of Vipers? No, it's a reverse harem. It's a dark reverse harem, that's all I know. I DNF'd this at 10%, and I've been told by several other sources that I should just steer clear and not go back to it because it's not worth me reading. I'm gonna listen to my trusted sources, aka Ashley, Izzy, and Heather. So I'm trusting my sources, and I'm not gonna go back to that one. So then I have The Ruins. This is a horror novel that I picked up through audio. I got it on Hoopla. I really wanted to get through this one. I made it 30%, and I just had to stop it. I just had to like stop. This is one where I'm like, I'm not 100% sure if this is a permanent DNF. Like, I don't think it's a hard DNF. I think at some point I will come back to this one. Just no time in the near future. I am really learning what I like in horror, and I think as I become a more experienced horror reader, this is something that I can come back to and enjoy. So again, this is not a permanent DNF. This is just a for now DNF, and I couldn't tell you what it's about other than it is a very popular horror book. So next up I have The Ritual, which is another horror book that actually was very, very disappointing for me because I watched the movie and I absolutely fell in love with it. The Ritual is about this group of friends. There's 4 of them that go on a big hike in Sweden, and one of their friends was murdered. And you are essentially watching them grieve and watching them travel through this forest, and weird things are happening. And it is a very interesting story, and I really, really enjoyed it. I love the concept, and I love the way that they executed the movie. I think the issue that I had was a couple things. It was very close to the original, which I am really happy about. I like having that very close adaptation. But what I didn't like was the fact that the very close adaptation was very fatphobic and just disgusting in ways that I didn't appreciate, and misogynistic. We were constantly reminded about how overweight certain characters were and how they weren't good enough because they were overweight, and how I think at one point we have an exact quote of he was so fat that he was getting blisters on his feet, like he was eroding his shoes or something like that. It was very disgusting. I did not appreciate the fatphobic comments like over and over and over and over again. So yeah, pass. Then we have another horror. We have Jack and Jill. This one is by Keeling Patrick Burke, which is another one that was a little disappointing because I really wanted to enjoy. Loved Alice in the background. This is one that was really disappointing because I really wanted to love this one. Keeling Patrick Burke is very hit or miss for me. Sour Candy was a hit. Blanky was a miss, and this one was a miss. This one was just boring. This one's following a brother and a sister, and I really don't know what's happening other than there's a brother and a sister and some weird stuff's going on. I think someone's murdered. I really don't know. I read like 30% of it and I could not tell you what was going on. And I just hit the point where I was like, you know, if I could do anything else, would I rather do anything else? If I'm getting the feeling of I just don't want to pick up my Kindle because the book I'm reading is not good, I'm out. Like, I'm not doing it. So I just... no thank you. I'm not gonna read it and I'm good. The other one I want to talk about is The Fear, which is one that I've talked about recently, but I kind of want to go over it. I read like 12 chapters of this. I think I got roughly 40% through this one before I had to DNF it. And essentially the issue that I have with this that I talked very in depth about, this is about the pandemic, and this does deal a lot with racism and homophobia. And as a queer woman, it was very hard to stomach. It was very hard to sit through and listen to because I was listening to it because it was triggering so many of my own internalized struggles and my own anxieties. As someone who lives in, I don't live in the deep South, but I do live in the South. And as someone who lives in a very conservative, rural, and I want to say not open-minded area, it is very hard to read about something like that because, you know, these people are living in an area that it's more accepted and it's more willing that people can see two women being together and not be a big deal. In Eastern Kentucky, that is just not cool. It just doesn't flow. And even in the city parts of Eastern Kentucky, I get looks because I'm with a woman. So it is very... it's very anxiety inducing and I didn't appreciate it. I didn't like it. It's not that the book's fault necessarily because it did its job, but I wasn't enjoying what it was doing to me. So with horror, I don't typically like to feel like I am being personally attacked, and that's how I felt with it. I actually did finish it. She told me that it did feel very suffocating, so I'm glad that I just passed on it. Then we have Creep, which is a dark romance that I really wanted to read, but I couldn't get past the self-harm in this one. There was a lot of self-harm. Like within the first like 15%, there was like 2 scenes of body harm, like self-harm, and there was pedophilia on page, rape on page, and just disgusting behavior. And I said, you know what? No, I can't handle this right now and I'm not going to. So do I know anything else about this? No. That's what you need to know going into this. It is hard to sit through, and I don't know when I would ever be in the right place to read that, if ever. And that's the thing with some of these is, you know, I know that as a dark romance reader, sometimes there are going to be books I'm just not in the place to read, and then I can come back later and I would be. This is one I would consider not a hard DNF, but it could be a hard DNF. So then we have While She Sleeps. This is the Sleeping Beauty Somnophilia kink book, and I don't have a lot to say about this. Someone in my Discord, you know who you are, decided they needed to ask me if I had somnophiliacs, and I decided, hey, we'll read this book. I didn't like it. It was not the kink. Unfortunately, I was very invested in the kink aspect. I wanted to see that play out. Didn't get it. I did not get the kink. Therefore, I'm very disappointed. I had a DNF about 30% through, or 40%. You can see Church playing with a vine back there. So yeah, I had a DNF pretty early. I just didn't care about the characters. I honestly felt like our heroine was an idiot because our hero is a prince and he is promised this bride, our heroine, when she's 10 years old, and he says no, and she can't understand why he told her no, and she's mad at him for it. And I'm like, you're an idiot. He literally said no because you were a child. Anyway, I could not get behind our heroine and her bullshit. So yeah. And then the last one I want to talk about is Land of Horrors. This is the Candyland retelling that I was very, very excited about. This one, it has a very interesting concept, a really cool premise. We're essentially in a paranormal world with a fae kingdom and like a fae realm, and they put these humans on this realm and they have to like go through this territory called the Sweet Land. It's like a game of Candyland essentially, but they can't make it out because the creatures within it are starving, and every time a human goes in there, they rip them to shreds. And essentially it's about our king, who is like the last one that you have to get through, and our heroine, who is his soulmate. Within the first like 8 chapters, they sleep fuck a lot. So like he's in her dreams and they're having a lot of sex. And she gets mad at him. There's Dub Khan in here. I just couldn't get invested in the characters. I think if I could have got invested in the characters, we would have been having a different conversation, because it's a really cool concept. I really wanted to like it. But you know, it is what it is. All right, so those are all of the books I've DNF'd recently. If you have read any of these, let me know down in the comments. Let me know what you've DNF'd recently, and I will see you all in my next video. If you want, leave me the peace sign emoji down in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.
Yeah, these babies said that they don't got a future like it burns.